Hi, I'm Elizabeth Mahusai. For those of you watching this replay, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips for how to leverage Facebook Live. And in 3 areas I'm going to focus on. The first is going to be having quality video. So high percentage of people, actually of all ages, if they looked at 18 all the way greater than 65, are spending at least 35 minutes a day on Facebook. The majority of them, that more than 70%, are more likely to click on a video than they are read a text, something that's text, or to look at an image. So the idea is, if you will use Facebook Live, you can really leverage that for creating brand recognition, customer loyalty. So there's a lot of different ways that you're able to use Facebook Live for that purpose. So the big aspect, when they polled people who watch video, the very first and most reoccurring answer of why they will continue to watch is that it's a quality video, which means, can they hear you? Can they see you? Does it make sense what you're doing? So the first thing I want to do is give you some basics on how to have a quality video. First is they need to be able to hear you. You don't have to spend a lot of money for people to be able to hear you. This is called a Movo mic, M-O-V-O. It's about $25. You can connect it right into your, what do you call that, microphone jack, whether it's on your iPad, if your cell phone still has one, or if you have the converter, you can clip it right on and people will be able to actually hear you and you'll have a better quality sound. That is one of the big things. Most people doing Facebook Live, you cannot hear them well enough, and it's very frustrating for people. They will stop watching when they can't really understand what you're saying or really pick up on that. The other aspect is how you hold your device. So most people are doing Facebook video with phone in hand, and there are times where that's okay. If you're kind of doing out and about, I'm on the street, I want to give you a look, then having a handheld video, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm going to be teaching you is where you're consistently offering video on a weekly basis. That's ideal. You need something that allows you to be hands-free. So this handy device right here is expandable. This is great for holding an iPad. I'm using my iPad to display, but I record most of my videos on my iPad. The camera is good. This will allow you to adjust, hold it in place. You know, picking up a reasonable in terms of cost stand to hold it in place also can help you. But there are also stands that will hold your cell phone as well, where you can keep it in place. Now this is like a Gorilla Pod, so it allows you to, you can adjust it, you can wrap it around things. This will give you options for how you hold your cell phone in place. And keep in mind, you don't want the device looking up your nose, because then people are distracted by that view. It's really better that it's straight on or a little elevated. I just recommend you're not so elevated that people have that sense of, you know, they want to look thinner or they want to look better, because it's just too severe of an angle looking downward. So that's the idea. Also to think about where you're comfortable. For me, I can do Facebook Live standing, I can do Facebook Live sitting. James did one last week where he was sitting at his desk. That was an excellent composition, because it communicated a certain sense of professionalism, of you got a feel for his office. That it's really, what are you trying to communicate? Out at Midas Hill, you might have a specific spot where at least once weekly you're in that spot every single week, and what it does is it gives people familiarity with your location. The other aspect of quality video is your lighting. So I had Fred bring in our ring light so that you could see. My recommendation, if you're a business owner and you're wanting to really have a quick setup that's well lit, you literally can mount your device here. You're standing where they don't see the ring light, but you're the beneficiary of the ring light. Being well lit, eliminating shadows makes a big difference in terms of the quality of the video. So this is going to cost you about $100. If you're going to do Facebook Live on a regular basis, Fred and I would say it's a worthwhile $100 investment in order to be properly lit. Your other option, your free option, is use natural light. So in other words, if your office has a window, you want to have the camera, the back of the camera to the window, and you're facing the window so that all that natural light is bathing your face. What you don't want is to put your back to the window and have the camera facing the window, because that's going to blow you out. People aren't going to really be able to see the detail. So having some kind of light source is critical. Light and sound, and good stability for holding your camera. This is just another example of one that you can do. It's a tabletop tripod. You can hold the cell phone here. This is actually removable. You can pick this up, I think, for about $25 as well. It can also serve as a selfie stick. The big thing about this particular head is you see the swivel. That gives you more options. So if you need your cell phone in portrait mode versus landscape mode, you have that option. So this gives you a handheld option as well as a tripod option. And yes, it does telescope, which gives you good options there, depending on what you're trying to show. So quality video is going to come down to, can people hear me? Is my camera stable, and am I well lit? That's what will keep them watching your video. The second aspect is quality content. Quality content comes in a variety of forms. The first is that you want to think thematically. Ideally, you, from a standpoint of what could you do weekly that makes sense for your industry, that will draw people in and they will see you as a resource in what you do. So, for example, some of the ones that I wrote down that could really work for a variety of industries. You could have a Motivation Monday. That's just a personal, I'm encouraging you. You could have a Tip Tuesday. In your industry, what would be a tip that would be educational for people, where they would want to go to your business page, watch your Tip Tuesday, because they know it's a value, it adds value to them. Wednesday, it could be what to do Wednesday. So in a situation like this, so take the insurance industry, you could say, what do you do when? What to do when? And then give them a quick tip. And these little videos, we're not talking a half hour. I mean, literally, you could do 2 to 3 minutes, and it will grab people's attention, and they'll come back every single week. Thursday could be Thankful Thursday. You could thank a customer, thank a referral partner, some way to add value. So think of themes that will help you. Here's the thing, most people don't do Facebook Live because they're trying to rack their mind with what should I do. When you work around a theme, every week it's easier for you to determine what you will present, and it makes it actually easier for you to present it because you're not spending a ton of time trying to be creative in that sense. So think thematically. Also think brand loyalty. So anytime you go live on Facebook, you need to always think communication of your brand. So I will start a Facebook Live for my Premier Designs business, and I'll say, I'm Elizabeth Mahusai, Premier Designs Texas Glitz. Why? Because that's what I'm known by in this portion of my industry. And I end every video with Elizabeth Mahusai, Premier Designs Texas Glitz. If you have found this content helpful, like my page. If you, if you found this content helpful, then feel free to share it with anyone who would benefit from it. You're getting your brand out there, and you're constantly reminding them who you are. So that's an important aspect of developing that brand loyalty. So keep that in mind. Now, one of the things about quality content that is important as well, I do encourage people, I want you to think about what you're wearing, and making sure that what you're wearing isn't a distraction. So what I mean is when people, unless you're wanting to be, like Fred and I, we've dressed up in costumes when it was on Halloween, and that was the whole point, was to be funny or to really grab people's attention. But I do think about, I want to make sure that this picture right here that's on camera is going to draw people in and not cause them to go, what's going on there? So you do want to have that cohesiveness where that's concerned. I tell my ladies who go live, you want to be careful that you are well covered so that someone who is watching, is okay with how you look. So all of these little aspects make a difference in terms of having quality content. Just to give you some examples of why you would want to go live on a business page. If you don't have a business page, I highly encourage that you do have a business page, because my third point is if you want quality results, you're going to get that better from a business page than you will from your personal page. And here are a few reasons why. On your business page, you have the ability to determine, and I'm going to go here, this happens to be one, you have the ability to determine what the, you have the ability to determine what the actual image is that people see when the video posts. So if you've ever done a live video on your personal page, inevitably I'm like, yep. And that's what's frozen for everyone to see when it goes out there. On your business page, you can go in, edit the video, and you can determine which thumbnail from the video actually gets placed as that frozen image. Now, if you don't like any of them, you can select what the image is, and you can actually upload an image there as well. Now, I will tell you that on some of mine, I allow the frozen image, like this one here, where my mouth's open, but it's showing a shirt. Sometimes I leave it. I pick certain ones because I know people will be scrolling and they'll go, oh, that's interesting. I want to check that out, or I want to see what's going on there. You could also have, as you can see here, the image of the wheel up there. I was giving something away, and so that was why I left the image of the wheel there versus me actually talking. So that's one of the benefits of it being on a business page. The other benefit of it being on a business page is that you can add subtitling. And subtitling, depending on your industry, can be very important. You can do that all through the editing of the video. You can go in, it will auto-generate the subtitles. You will want to go through and edit those because it is not a foolproof auto-generation, depending on your diction, how quickly you talk. If you use a lot, it will translate that in. You will want to go back and look at that. But if you can add subtitles, then that's also helpful because sometimes people are on break at work. They can't listen to the audio, but they will read what you're saying and they will watch your video. Subtitling can really be helpful depending on your industry as well. If you need people to know about terms, or you want to talk about your website in there. There are different aspects of why subtitling is important. The other aspect about quality results is that when you create, or when you put lives on your business page, you are creating a library. That's the way that you want to see it. Think about when you walk into a public library, you're able to go in and with a library card, you can check out any book in that library as long as it's there. Well, on your Facebook business page, it is your library, and anyone at any time, anywhere around the world can view what's in your public library. So no matter whether they've liked your page, whether they know you or not, whether they've ever done business with you or not, this is my public library. So imagine that you are out okay? You're in property management, you're out speaking to someone and they ask you a question, you have limited time, you could say, you know what, my time is limited, but if you go to my Facebook page and go to videos and search this keyword, you will find a video that gives you the information that you desire. So for me, this being my jewelry page, when I meet someone and they say, I love this necklace and I want to buy it, I go, great. I have a video that will show you 15 plus ways you can wear and get usage out of this video. Go to my business page, click on videos, search this name, and you will find it. And so speaking of searches, when you edit your video to pick that thumbnail image, make sure that you title it and you're consistent in your titling so that people can easily search your videos. So you want to think about that in advance so that it makes sense for the person who's visiting your site, or to make it just easy for people to be able to find it. For me, like my Ways to Wear It Wednesday, where I am showing different options, every title for a Ways to Wear It Wednesday has hashtag Ways to Wear It Wednesday and then the name of the piece. So all they have to do is actually search the name of the jewelry item, and any video where I've referenced that will come up. That's what you want to create on your library of videos as well. That's going to be an important aspect. Now, just to kind of show you, I'll go back to this most recent one that I did here. You can kind of see the composition. You know, I've got my mannequin, I've got me, I'm chest up, where people are able to really see the detail that's there. And so a lot of people on video feel like they've got to be people seeing 3/4 of you. Unless there's something you're showing them below your waist, there is no point in them seeing that. There just really is no point. You want them to be able to see your face. Why? Because on that thumbnail, that means they're seeing more of you and it's going to grab their attention more. So that's the idea. Just think about your composition and for people being able to. Now, I do want you to know, I put on my business page, like this top one here, where I'm actually showing the band performing. The reason why I have that video there is because you also want an element of your lives to be about life. So for Fred and I, band is an important part of our lives. We have a junior in high school. He's performing every single week. So this was last Friday. I went live and I said, this is what I'm doing with my Friday. What are you doing? And that was my live contribution for that day. So there's nothing wrong with there being a little bit of personalization there. If it's like you're kind of your own entity, you represent Midas Hill, maybe you look at that differently, but keep that in mind that there's nothing wrong with it being more like, for example, let's say you came to the Oktoberfest and you wanted to do a quick live on the street, here's the atmosphere, here's what's happening, that type of thing, where it's more off the cuff and it's less planned. That way you really are giving them additional content that they can, that they can look at. So quality video, sound, setup, lighting, quality content, think brand loyalty, a constant repetition of yourself, thematic, where you can be consistent every single week, and then quality results are going to come from things like making sure that thumbnail is tight, your titling is tight, creating a library on your business page. And I will tell you, the most important thing is you have to be consistent. Initially, start doing once a week. If you'll just do once a week, and then you can add additional segments as is necessary, or depending on how much you're wanting to do, but at least once a week, I recommend doing some kind of video that will really be promoting your business, your brand, customer loyalty, all of those types of aspects. So those would be, those are the primary things. I could talk to you about a lot of things, but I wanted to make sure to show you that, and also to encourage you that you want to always be reminding people, like my page, share my content, and encourage them to use something other than a like. It needs to be a heart, an emoji of some kind other than like, because the Facebook algorithm approves that more, as well as you want to create, when you're doing the video, you want to get people engaged. So ask questions. And you don't need to spend 5 minutes waiting for people to log on, okay? You start immediately, ask a question, and then people will start responding, and you can already be delivering content. That way, the person who watches the replay is not sitting there for 5 minutes waiting for you to kind of go, well, I'm just waiting for people to get on. Let's see who gets on. That grows old, and they will pop off your video faster than what you would like. So you can ask a question like, give me your city and state. Today, I want you to tell me about what's your favorite thing about fall, and I'm going to get right to it. And you go straight into your content. Okay, so that will help you with just making it engaging regardless of whether they watch live or they watch replay. Okay, what questions do you have?
You don't necessarily have to do it live, do you? You can post videos.
Okay, so that's a great question. Yes, you can post videos. Posted videos, which means it depends on how you post them. If you put them on YouTube and then you post a link, that's one aspect. That's probably the least in terms of Facebook algorithm pushing it out to people who have liked your page or engaging with you. You can upload it, which uploads it into Facebook. That's the next best way, but your best option is always live. People like the idea of engaging with the talent. That's what Fred calls it. You're the talent. They want to be able to influence the talent. And that ability to ask a question or to interact with you, that's what draws them in. And so that would be the thing that I would say, if we're going to rank them, a link is going to be your least productive. Native, in other words, you've uploaded it into Facebook, and then live is going to be your best option. That's a great question, though. Yes?
On that topic, I found it terribly interesting. I did a little case study just for my own benefit and uploaded the exact same content through a third-party aggregator like Hootsuite, linking it from YouTube versus natively and then going live. Live was more than double the interaction.
Yeah.
The thing about Facebook and YouTube are direct competitors. They don't like each other. So if you're putting something on especially YouTube, Facebook's like,
yeah, anytime you take people out of Facebook to someplace else, they don't like it. And you don't get as much coverage. But you will always double, triple, and here's the thing, if you go live consistently, you will see a far greater reach than you will really with pretty much anything else you do. Like my business pages, I get the most activity from Facebook Lives than anything that I do. So, a single post might reach 300 to 400 people. A live can reach up to 3,000 people on this particular business page. Most of my Ways to Wear It Wednesdays reach 2,500 or more every single week. That meaning that it's pushed out into their news feed. And one thing that I would say, quality results comes from you've got to interact with people. So you're interacting with them live, but any comment that is made, ideally, you are acknowledging that with a heart or some kind of emoji, and you're responding with a comment or a follow-up question that ideally spurs additional conversation. When Facebook sees that we've got multiple threads happening. Exactly. So let's say someone asks a question, you respond to the question, they come back and thank you, you come back and say, be sure to tune in next week. I mean, anytime you've got multiple comments happening, Facebook is pushing that out even more. So that really allows you to leverage better with that. Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm trying to brand myself, but I work for an agency. We have our own Facebook page at the agency, which I'm also a manager of, but I don't really want to brand myself on their page because then I'm branding the agency and not myself. What do you recommend?
That's a great question. Okay, so you have a couple of options, and really branding yourself when you work for a larger corporation is actually very important because life changes, things can change very quickly. So you have in my mind, the first two options that come to my mind is you could go live on your personal page in that sense where you're just putting out there and you're still doing the tips, you're still making yourself a resource. The challenge is you don't have the same level of, it can't be publicly shared as easily when it's on your personal page. Yeah, and there aren't all of the tools. So you might want to consider, this would be my second option, you may want to consider creating for yourself a personal business page, but you'd have to think about your naming of what that might look like. And you could begin to develop likes and follows and a library there as well. Those in a Facebook world, those would be two of your other options. Or you could also go the Instagram route, and you could really leverage Instagram and make that account where you're not only posting, but you can also do Instagram TV there as well. That's a whole different training, but that would be another option. Instagram TV allows for greater than 1 minute videos. Just on Instagram, you can only do 1 minute, they can only be 1 minute snippets. Instagram television will link them all together and allow you to do a longer segment.
So if I did my own personal business page, would you recommend also sharing stuff from our
Yes.
stuff with my page?
Yes, see, and that's another aspect. I was focusing really on Facebook Live, but from a business page standpoint, the idea of so if I find content helpful on any one of your pages, I can go to your business page, share it to my business page, and say, when you're looking for this information, here's a good resource for you. When you need someone to manage your property, here's a resource for you. That's the value of it being on a business page. And yes, you could take things from your big group that you're a part of and share it to your personal business page, your personal branding page, and leverage that both ways. So yes, you could totally do that. And that's not to say that they wouldn't pick up a video that you've done and want to share it into their business page. One other thing that I do want to say, not all the time, but minimally once a month, taking something that you've done on your business page and share it to your personal wall with a note along the lines of, hey, in case you didn't know, I have a business page. This is the type of content that you will be able to enjoy there. Be sure to click the link and also like my page. At least once a month, just reminding people that you have a business page is really helpful. That way your personal Facebook people don't see it as you're just constantly talking about business, and it's really not, I'm not learning about you or your family, which was the original intent of Facebook. So that's where I believe that the business page really is helpful. I scroll beyond people who are constantly utilizing their personal Facebook page to promote their business. It kind of drives me crazy because I want to look at what's happening in people's lives. I go to business pages to see what's happening in their business. So that's those would be two examples of how you could do that. But I do agree, brand yourself and and leverage what you're getting from the larger organization that you're affiliated with. So it's a great question. Okay, with that, I appreciate you watching. If you have found this content helpful, be sure to like my page and also feel free to share. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm Elizabeth Mahusai, Premier Designs Texas Glitz, bringing you some great tips for how to have quality Facebook video.